Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the Great Plains Wildlife Reserve. We have no cubs to start with today, unfortunately. The grizzlies are slow to gestate. Well, already slower than most. Hopefully soon though. There will be no problem getting offspring from today's species, however. We are building the wetlands finally for our American flamingo. It's a bit of a shorter one today, despite the fact that I didn't actually get everything done that I wanted. The habitat itself is very simple, but the surroundings are what make it really worthwhile. Before we get too far in, if you enjoyed today's video, you can let me know with a like. If you want to see more, you can of course subscribe, and let me know your name suggestions for today's flamingos. We have no shortage with over 20, so I feel like most of the names are going to get in. We do also have names for our grizzly bears. I was tempted to go with Yogi, but I decided to go with the brother bear angle instead. So our chunky boy will be called Coda. Thank you Lisa for that suggestion, and our girl will be known as Grizzella. Brought to you by Sean. Thank you for your suggestions. I have no idea what we're going to end up with for the flamingos, so I'm looking forward to seeing what we get. Now I haven't got long, so I better get on with it. The wetlands aren't fed by a branch of the river. I'm thinking of this as a gully of sorts that was formed as a result of the river being higher than usual due to the dam. The shallow stream that formed through the rocks of the earth spills out into this uneven terrain where it eventually pools and creates a bit of a marsh. This waterlogging is something that can actually happen with dams, which is why a lot of beavers need to be relocated, because, it could flood farmland or homes, but it can also create ecosystems, which is what we've got here. While we are making this habitat, we can start thinking a little bit about Planet Zoo 2 and the news that we will have birds finally. We already have the flamingos and the swans, which can fly, so it's not going to be a complete novelty, but I am curious to see how people build for them. I don't have to worry about these guys escaping on the winds, but the birds in the new game will be able to fly, so some sort of aviary will be on the cards. For now though, I can have a relatively low fence and a full confidence that the flamingos will love their new home enough to stay and never leave. I'm sure most people know by now that the flamingo get their colour from the shrimp that it eats. The shrimp and the algae, that is. Which must be in abundance in America, because these are the most pink species of flamingo that there are. But did you know the same can happen to humans? Try only drinking tomato juice for a few years, see if you don't start looking a little bit Elmo. There are a few birds that give dinosaur energy, but the more I look at these odd creatures, the flamingos, the more I start to see Gallimimus. Just blending together. Long, slender necks. Just sort of generally peculiar figures. All they're missing is the tail, really. And when you actually take note of some of these details, you realise just how unique these birds truly are. Take their beaks. There's no way around it, they look stupid. However, they are designed to serve a purpose. They bend downwards so that when the flamingo lowers its head to eat or drink, it doesn't need to turn its head in some awkward angle against the direction of its neck. It can just look straight down and get all the shrimpy goodness. How about its legs? It's not uncommon to see animals with backwards knees, but this is not the case with the flamingo, for their knee is actually tucked up inside near its body. What you're looking at there is actually an ankle, which makes the flamingo's feet enormous. And now all I want to see is a flamingo standing with its feet flat on the floor. I know that's not exactly how it works, but it would still be funny nonetheless. Now, these wetlands are, as the name might suggest, wet. which means the keepers have a natural inability to access anything. Something that seems to be changing in Planet Zoo 2, as I've seen swimming keepers somewhere, I'm sure of it. But for now, I need some walkways, which is not the end of the world, now that I know these small ones work well enough. And unlike the beaver version, the keepers do actually walk on top of these ones. It's a bit glitchy, as you will see, but they are used correctly. In terms of the decoration, I had to restrain myself a little bit as I was getting a little bit carried away with the rocks. Sure, they might be around an area like this, but the key here is the plants. That being said, I need to have something to partially hide some of these pools so they look a bit more natural. So I've used them sparingly for me at least. Before I admit my failure, I completely discounted my shelter. For some reason I thought birds wouldn't need one, which is true in the wild, but the same could be said for any of the animals that we have in these zoos. This is of course a zoo. Kind of. Of course they need somewhere covered. I ended up just using part of the guest viewing from the beaver habitat as sort of a modern open decking. I should keep the rain off them at least, but that's about it. Had I thought about it in advance, I could have planned something with a bit more care and thought. But as an afterthought, it actually looks not too bad. Now, returning to my shame. I once again forgot to record the foliage. Most of it anyway. But before you come for me in the comments, I needed to continue the plants all the way up the river to make it all look natural and seamless. So, I've included some of that, as it's basically the same. It's all the same plants and the same approach, just a little bit further up. I've used a lot of blue stem grass as it looks like more of a marshland plant, and the purple really helps offset some of the greens. It's obviously a very fertile environment with all the water, so the green is strong and can overtake it a little bit. Similarly with the reeds, the brown does the same as the purple to make the whole thing look a bit more diverse and more natural. As I said, it's a shorter episode. This is a very flat area which simplifies things a bit. There's also a lot of water, so the area to use is limited. I think it turns out well though. There's still a bit more to be done upstream, just to decorate the area, but there's enough here to set the scene. Now we've finally finished all those habitats that were planned in that initial river episode, so we can see how the final build compares. The most obvious thing is that it's quite a bit bigger, kind of everywhere. Now the only problem that I have is I've got a couple more species to go in, and I have no idea where I'm going to put them. So next week should be a bit of an adventure. As always, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me that people are enjoying my videos. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already, as I am finally getting somewhere with my other series, so they should be out soon. As well as the upcoming Planet Zoo 2 sequel, which you can guarantee that I'm going to be getting on as soon as I can. And remember to leave your name suggestions for the flamingos. There are lots there, so there are no limits. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one.